Tales Under a Broken Sky, Episode 24, Eternal Sunshine. Stay away! I stumble to a halt, dusty rubble crunching under my knees as they strike the ground. I feel the impact in every bone and joint. Then, nothing. Too tired to feel. Too tired to not. I groan, but only the listless dregs of a sigh escape my lips. I blink. Even blinking seems like so much effort, and stare up at the unexpected words in disbelief. They are scrawled across the pitted surface of a wall, blotchy and bleached to the point of obscurity by the incessant glare of the star. A warning? I tremble as a cold shiver vibrates through my feverish body. Someone was here before me. More than I had ever hoped to find. More than I had ever expected to find. I crawl forward, the battered gloves of my environmental suit rasping against the gravelly debris. I try to stand. The muscles in my leg quiver, then shake, then simply give up. My lungs burn. My heart pounds an erratic rhythm. Sweat, precious fluid, beads on my brow and snakes along the contours of my face. My skin burns against the tantalizing moisture. I reach forward, my gloves brush against a crumbling stone, catch on a crevice, and I pull. Inch by agonizing inch, I pull myself up. I scream, a harsh, painful hacking sound tearing from my vocal cords. And I'm there. Wheezing, I collapse against the wall, my visor screeching against the hell-fired masonry. My vision swims in and out of focus as I struggle to examine the writing. Blood. I stagger backwards and fall. The impact jars my lower back and shoulders. I scream soundlessly. My back arches involuntarily against the sudden pain flooding my frayed nervous system. The world flashes white, then grey, then black, then fills with a galaxy of supernova, flashing electric in the darkness. The fog clears, and I am on my back. I stare listlessly up at the sky, the eternally bright, eternally daytime sky. Is this how it ends? Something primal inside me rebels at the thought. My will to live, or the carefully conditioned drive to complete my mission? Does that distinction even matter on this tidally locked hellhole? I roll over and start the long process of standing, forcing one foot under me, and then the other, bracing my hand on my thighs, and half pushing, half pulling myself up. It hurts, and it doesn't. I must keep going. I walk, my footsteps weaving and erratic, towards a semi-collapsed structure to my right. My drunken path takes me out of the shade for an instant, and the heat of the alien sun assaults me, penetrating even the carefully engineered layers of my suit. I fall back into the shade and crawl the last few feet under the cover of the crumbling roof. I am just alert enough to activate the emergency recovery mode on my suit before exhaustion overtakes me and I slip into unconsciousness. Shadows, contorted shapes, disembodied voices, the lost scream, pulsing, pulsing, pulsing. A beating heart desperate for blood. No, not a heart, not that. Never whatever that. It pulses. It pulses. A savage rhythm, screaming for blood. It pulses. It pulses. It pulses. It reaches, and it pulses. It pulses, and it reaches. Then it feeds. I gasp as I return to consciousness. The sharp intake of breath burning in my raw throat and lungs. My body still aches as I push myself up, but the debilitating fatigue has eased. I shake my head, trying to throw off the last horrifying vestiges of my dreams, but that frantic, desperate thudding still echoes in my bones. I can still feel that reaching, probing presence. Despite the heat, I shiver, a deep chill at odds with the oppressive heat. I turn on my side, mentally preparing myself to stand and carry on with my search. When I see it, a shadow, huddled in the corner. I freeze. The tortured screaming from my dreams resurfaces. I can't move. What if it sees me? What if it hears me? What if it reaches for me? What if it... The world fades around me as I reach out towards the shape. My heart thumps in my chest, and I see it in my mind again. That throbbing, pulsing, undulating mass of twisted flesh and bone. My hand moves of its own accord. I can only watch as it inches closer and closer. Reaches. My glove touches the shadowy figure, and it tips to the side, falling to the ground with a dusty rattle. I stare down at the man. The man! A wizened mummy, skin stretched tight across its face, mouth drawn back in an agonized rictus. Collins? I stare in confusion at the shriveled corpse. The name clearly visible on the environmental suit. He was one of the research team. Where's his helmet? What happened here? I roll the desiccated body over and see the damage to his abdomen. A ragged tear, slicing through the multiple layers of his environmental suit. The frayed edges of the fabric are stiff and saturated with dried blood. What happened here? I stand and survey the rest of the small room. Something in the corner reflects a stray beam of that infernal sunlight, and the glint catches my eye. I approach it hesitantly. I know what it is. A smooth, round bulge, covered in a fine layer of dust, blending into the debris. Collins's helmet. I brush away the dust and read the words scrawled across the visor. The same faded brown as the warning on the wall outside. Leave! My throat constricts with fear, and I force myself to breathe evenly. 1, 2, 3, 4. The external locking mechanism is smeared with blood. I know what happened here. Collins would have had just seconds to live after breaking the seal on his suit. He spent that time leaving a message in his own blood. I try to raise the comms again, but receive only sharp bursts of static in return. Some kind of interference in the atmosphere. Sims had been trying to boost our signal, without success it seems. Leave! The plea echoes in my head as I stand, and I fight the urge to flee back to the lander. 1 confirmed casualty from a team of 5. Where are the others? And my own team? My mind flashes back to the sandstorm. The kilometre-high wall of dust and debris rushing towards us. caught out in the open, nowhere to run. Rocks the size of my fist hurtling at random from the maelstrom. Stevenson. Oh fuck, Stevenson. Right in the visor. A dull thud. His falling body swallowed up by the dust. Bursts of desperate static as the others try to radio for help. Scrambled screaming. Hot needles digging into my brain. I have to turn my comms off and make it stop. I shake my head, trying to rid myself of the memory. Gone. I have to assume I am the only one left. Just me. Alone on this godforsaken rock. Just me. And the mission. I stand and look around again. To my right, a small door leads off into shadow. Smeared brown handprints bracket the crumbling frame. I move closer to inspect the blood-stained stone. Out. The stains were made on the way out. I look back towards Collins. What was he running from? What forced him to? I close my eyes and breathe. Then step out of the harsh, unceasing light and into the shadows. The short hallway ends in a narrow stairway, leading down into darkness. The intrusive glow of the eternal day is a small rectangle of diffuse light at the other end of the corridor. I activate my suit's lighting. A cone of cold light penetrates the darkness. My eyes follow the glare, pointedly ignoring the stains on the walls, until the steps continue past, into shadow. My knees ache as I take the first step. Too long, without proper sustenance. The suit systems can only sustain the body for so long. I fear I may be approaching that limit rapidly. I descend for what feels like eternity. Just me, the echo of my footsteps, and the gently bobbing cone of light. I have never felt so alone. On the surface, despite the searing heat, there was possibility. A horizon. Down here, nothing but claustrophobic shadows and the crushing dread of the unknown. The world ending at the limit of my suit's lighting. Ahead, the beam of light bends as the steps give way to flat ground. At the bottom, the corridor continues into the distance, into shadow. At the boundary of darkness and light, a figure lies slumped against the wall, the unmistakable silhouette of an environmental suit. I rush forward, ignoring the ache spreading across my lower back. They were searching for shelter, but what did they find instead? I approach the body, now close enough to see the condensation glistening on the inside of the helmet. The suit is nearing its operational limits, no longer working efficiently. But that fogging, that means life. I kneel by the body and look for the name tag. Thomas, one of my team. I activate the suit-to-suit communications link. My helmet taps lightly against his, and the sound of ragged breathing erupts from the speakers.
Thomas, it's me, David. Are you conscious?
I see eyes struggling open, red-rimmed and hollow in their sockets. He blinks once, then his right hand reaches up and grabs weakly at my suit.
Captain.
His voice is cracked and strained. He swallows, grimaces, then opens his eyes again.
You must get out. Leave me. I'm done. Taylor and Murphy. It already got them. Stevenson, he never made it out of the storm. I didn't think that I'd see anyone again.
His eyes roll back, head swaying from side to side. I shake him lightly. I need to know what happened. Thomas blinks and shakes himself back to awareness.
I need to know what happened here. Can you tell me what happened? Dreams, Captain. Have you had the dreams?
His voice is strained. I have to concentrate to hear the words.
I had a dream. Stress-induced, a fever dream. That was all. No, Captain, real. All of it. Real. What do you mean? What happened here? The closer. Get more vivid. More detailed.
Thomas is breathing heavily now. The fog on the inside of his visor completely obscuring his features. His voice is low and cracking, but I can hear the fear.
Something hit planet, knocked out of orbit. Just enough. Change rotation. Tidally locked. Inhabitants fled underground. Something. Radiation, change, mutation, consumed each other. Everything. All. Biomass. Gone. All. Subsumed. It cannibalizes itself. Growth. Consumption. Regrowth. Needs more. It feeds. Murphy. Taylor. Research team. All. Gone. It reaches!
I stumble back as Thomas grabs my suit tighter and tries to pull me down. Our connection attenuates as our suits break contact, but I can still hear him muttering.
It pulses, and it reaches.
Thomas slumps to the side, and his comms go silent. I continue on. Every cell in my body screams for me not to. But I must complete my mission. Everyone else is gone. There is no one else. The corridor goes on for miles, without deviation. Whispers accompany me the whole way. At first, I thought it was Thomas. His final words stuck on repeat in my head. But as I travel further, they are growing louder and more insistent. Calling out for me. Reaching for me. The air, the walls, the ceiling, the darkness and the shadows, even my torchlight, all take on a rhythmic thrum. The world pulses around me, just beyond my range of hearing. I continue. The angles and corners of the walls shift in and out of focus, displacing and rearranging into impossible angles. I feel sick, nauseous, and disorientated. I reach for the wall to steady myself, and it's not there. I fall sideways and slam into the wall, just where my hand was seconds before. I stumble onwards, each step a fall. The ground never quite where I expect it to be. But I continue. The mission demands it. I jerk to a halt, a few feet from the end of the tunnel. The ground vanishes just up ahead, the tunnel ending in a sharp drop. Cautiously, I move to the edge and teeter on the brink, my legs weak and unsteady. The abyss beyond, stretching into darkness in all directions, is bathed in a sickly red-orange glow. It doesn't dispel the shadows. They are stained, tainted by its presence. I look down into the depths and I see it. The twisted, writhing mass of bone and muscle and sinew. It pulses slowly, exposed flesh straining as it expands and contracts. The vibrations are strongest here. I can feel my teeth grinding as they shift in their sockets. My heart skips a beat as it tries to keep time with the deep, inaudible rumbling. The whispers and screams intensify, coming from all directions and none. It pulses. It pulses. I am mesmerized by it. The pulsing light, the throbbing vibrations, the slow, undulating rise and fall of the abomination below me. Space contracts and I inch closer to the edge, leaning, reaching. It reaches. It reaches. It reaches. The chorus of screams erupts in ecstatic crescendo. Below me, the mass reaches upwards, thousands of sinewy filaments stretching upwards. Reaching! Now, I join the chorus, the words ripping from my ragged throat. I exult in their cries. My incoming death, my impending completion, my becoming. The first of the tendrils reaches the ledge, feeling its way towards my feet. I snap, adrenaline floods my bloodstream, and I stagger back from the edge. The tendril flashes past an instant later, and the screams erupt in furious harmony. I don't think now. I run, headlong, back along the tunnel, every muscle in my body straining and burning with the effort. A light flashes in my visor. Suit efficiency below 30%. It won't be enough. I pass Thomas. I hear his body being dragged back into the melange, the rhythmic tapping of his helmet on the ground as he is pulled back towards the abyss. My legs burn, and they are numb. There is no difference. I force myself onwards. I reach the stairs. My body screams as I take the steps 2 at a time, more stumbling than running now. My gloves brush the steps in front of me as I struggle to stay upright. I can hear them slithering on the steps behind me. I press harder, down on all fours now, scrabbling up the long stairs like a wild animal. Saliva froths on my lips as I scream unintelligible curses into the darkness ahead of me. My lungs burn. My temples explode in blinding agony. I fall and desperately scramble back to my feet. I feel something grabbing at my ankle and I kick out. A wet, fleshy thump as my boot connects. I surge forward. Fear, fatigue, exhaustion, my mission, all forgotten, overwritten by the overwhelming need to survive. I reach the top of the stairs, but miss. I sprawl onto the flat ground. What little air left in my lungs is expelled in a violent cough of spit and phlegm against my visor. Wheezing, I struggle to my feet and run again. My strides are uneven and stumbling. I careen, half falling towards the light at the end of the tunnel. I can hear the desperate scrambling of the tendrils now. The voices are growing fainter now. I burst from the doorway and back into the light, the oppressive heat hammering down on me. My suit efficiency flashes an angry red. 10%. I sprint through the shade of the ruins and back out onto the open plain, heedless of the danger. There are worse things behind me. I keep running. Overhead, the unforgiving light of the eternal sun beats down on the parched earth. Below me, the ground pulses. And it reaches.
Welcome, folks, to episode 24 of Tales Under a Broken Sky. I am your host, Keith, and I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. This was a special one for me. Earlier on in the year, I submitted this story to The Dark Corner, a new online Irish horror magazine, and it became the first time I had a story accepted anywhere, or that I actually made some money from my writing. I've been wanting to record this as an episode since, but I wanted to wait until I had the time to do such an important milestone in my writing journey justice. So here we are. As with many of my stories, this one wasn't planned. I saw the call for submissions and the theme for the volume, and it was one of those times when an idea just appeared. I had no idea where it was going, but it all started with a picture of the writing on the wall and the sparse, abandoned landscape. In a twist of fate, I looked in my future ideas file and saw the line, "Lone Explorer on an empty world orbiting a distant star." Turns out that orphaned idea, typed in haste before I forgot the feelings and atmosphere I had attached to it, had finally found a home. I wrote the story in the space of about 12 hours, most of them spent sitting in a hospital while waiting for some tests on a minor condition, and then finished the following morning in my favourite cafe. I'm not going to talk much about the story here. I built multiple layers into this, and I would like to see what people think or come up with as they listen or read. I also won't be posting the usual prose version of this on my website. If you'd like to check it out, it's part of Volume 2 of The Dark Corner, over on thedarkcorner.blog. I highly recommend reading through some of the other stories in the volume as well. Each of them brought something unique and special to the issue, and some of them are downright terrifying. The next episode, which I don't have a trailer for yet, is part of something new I'm going to try every few episodes. Little standalone, stripped-back pieces, more reminiscent of folk tales told around the fire than the more produced work I've been doing. I was reading through a volume of Sheridan Le Fanu's work recently, and I was inspired by some of his short folk tales, so I thought I'd give it a bash. The end of the year has been hectic, so no trailer this week, but keep an eye out on my socials for updates on that in the coming weeks. And for those of you who listen this year, I hope you had a peaceful festive season, whatever you celebrate, and I'll see you in the new year. Until next time. Thank you for listening to episode 24 of Tales Under a Broken Sky. I hope you enjoyed this week's production as much as I enjoyed writing and recording it. If you did enjoy it, please consider liking and subscribing on your platform of choice and sharing with your friends. This will really help the show and keep me motivated to produce more content. Thank you again for your time. See you in the new year.